Relationship Realities with
Roland
and Reyna. We're going to be giving you a little funny, a little crazy, and a whole lot of reality.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back, guys.
It's been quite some time, has it not?
Yes, it definitely feels like forever.
It feels like forever ago. If you're listening to this for the first time, okay, be sure to stick around. You're going to learn a thing or two, and you might have a laugh or two as well, so be sure to stick around. So, to this week's episode, what we're going to do is we're going to cover, like, what were we up to in the last 2 weeks, right? Like, what did we do in the last 2 weeks? Be sure to stick around for that. And also how trusting your partner with life decisions, big crucial decisions, is very, very important, okay? Right. So last but not least, be sure to stick around for the poll results that we had running from a couple weeks ago, okay? Yeah.
So, in case you are not following us on Facebook, or you just are not in the know, I sustained a pretty severe back injury due to my own negligence. You know, I'll call a spade, and unfortunately was trying to do too much at the gym and not stretching properly, and my body quickly reminded me that I am not 25 years old anymore.
Right.
So I suffered a herniated disc in my back, and it was probably the most excruciating pain that I have ever been in my entire life. And unfortunately, that's why we didn't record last week's episode. It was entirely impossible for me to get in any kind of position so that we could record this, that we wouldn't have to stop every 2 seconds and me be in constant pain. So,
Right.
Unfortunately, that's why we didn't get a podcast out, an episode out for you guys last week. But fortunately, with some medical care and with physical therapy, I am getting better. I'm not 100%, but I am definitely doing a lot better than I was.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she definitely is now. But thankfully we're able to record this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Roland was amazing throughout the entire experience. I am not used to being helpless, so there were quite a few times that, you know, something trivial, like I couldn't find my Apple Watch, and I had an emotional breakdown because I couldn't find my Apple Watch.
Yeah, she did.
Because it was just the icing on the cake, and being helpless and not being used to it, and everything was just a humongous disaster. And Roland was a trooper. He handled everything and even helped me put my shoes and socks on because I couldn't put my shoes and socks on.
I know, she couldn't. She was a little helpless, but thankfully is coming back around.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, she's coming to her old self
Slowly
again.
but surely.
Yeah. So this week's episode, of course, is about trusting your partner in significant life decisions, right? Mm-hmm. So at the moment, outside of the podcast, you know, and the YouTube and stuff, we are making very, very significant life decisions. I have made decisions that Reyna has basically fully trusted in my judgment. Mm-hmm. Okay. And has continued to support those decisions that I'm making for the both of us, right? So the fact that she supports me says a lot about her, but also the fact that she's putting our future basically in the decisions not only that I'm making, but kind of that we're both going along. So this is extremely significant, and I would say somewhat new to me, because not only have I not had this kind of support in the past, right? I also would not have that kind of support for the significant other I'm with. Let's say that the roles are reversed. I would have never had the same support that you have for me. I would have never had that for somebody else.
I think a lot of that comes down to trust as well, and understanding that your partner has the best intentions, and that your partner understands the dynamic of the relationship, and that I know that you are not going to make a decision that could potentially put us in the poorhouse, or that would not benefit us. Now, I also know that if it was a decision that could potentially have those effects, I suppose, I trust that you would talk to me about it prior to. So the decisions that we've been making recently are definitely life-changing, but they're not non-reversible.
Right.
So they are significant, yes, but they're not, we're selling the house and I didn't, you didn't tell me.
Right.
It's nothing like that. So I definitely feel that it's important that you trust your partner. You have trust in each other, that you both have each other's best interests at heart.
Yeah.
But also, if it's something that is huge, you do need to communicate with your partner. And it just goes back to, those fundamental things that we've always talked about, which is communication and trust.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In previous relationships that I was in, it was very difficult for me to have that same trust in my significant other because of their lack of decision-making abilities. And that was something that's something that is demonstrated throughout the relationship. If I am not comfortable with decisions that you're making with your life, I sure as heck would not be comfortable with decisions that you would make for our lives as a unit, And so I think that plays a big part in it as well. I would definitely, like I said, in previous relationships, I probably would have blown a gasket if, my significant other made a decision without talking to me about it, because unfortunately they had proven that they could barely handle their own lives, let alone our life together jointly.
Right. Right. And I think it comes down to the fact that, okay, I have found a relationship that I'm myself in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, I'm not going to say comfortable.
Right.
Okay. But I feel like we think kind of the same way.
Mm-hmm.
We are supportive of one another, okay, in whatever we're doing. Such as leaving my old job, you were very supportive of that.
Mm-hmm.
And the job that I decided to get afterwards, just extremely supportive. And I think that kind of, that supportive aspect comes from it kind of comes from trust when it comes to, okay, I left my old job, and moved to the new one, okay, and you trusted the fact that I was making those decisions and that was going to impact us in some way.
Right.
And I think that kind of reflects even in the life decisions in the same aspect. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust is an absolutely huge thing. I don't think I've ever trusted someone as much as I've trusted my baby.
Well, and I think also if you see your partner making decisions, or you are concerned about decisions that they're making, you definitely need to speak up and voice your concerns, and don't do it in a way that is demeaning or degrading, because nobody wants to be told that their decisions are dumb or that their choices are stupid. You need to ensure that you are discussing with your partner about concerns that you have, in a constructive criticism type way, and come to them with a solution. Don't just say your idea is stupid and then that's it. Okay, well, how can we make it better? And as the person receiving the constructive criticism, you need to be open to that. You need to be an active listener and understand where your partner is coming from. I don't think any of us want to be told that our ideas are stupid because it's our idea and we think it's the best thing in the world. So of course, when someone tells us that it's not the best thing in the world, we get defensive. And that, I think, is a huge thing that we need to be open to, is being an active listener when our partner has concerns.
I definitely agree with what you're saying, hon. I also think that you definitely need to gauge the relationship or your significant other in a way you definitely have to understand them. Okay, you have to you have to have good judgment and understanding their full potential and what you see in them.
Right.
Because you don't want to get into the situation where they throw an idea out there that could potentially be a very good thing, even though it may not sound like if it's a long shot.
Right.
Let's say the idea is a long shot. Okay, but it's still there. Like the potential is there. Mm-hmm. So your judgment of their actual potential needs to be good. Like you have to sit down, you have to think, okay, he or she is throwing out this idea. Is there a possibility for success with this idea?
Right. But again, it goes back to you being a active listener, because if you come to me with an idea that, yes, it may sound like a great idea, however, you did not think of, A, B, and C, that's not me saying that I don't see the potential. That's just me bringing to your attention these other issues that could potentially arise. So I think, like I said earlier about communicating and having that open discussion and being open to all sides of it and not just trying to bulldoze your partner into your way of thinking.
I agree.
Right.
Okay, so I guess to wrap all that up would definitely be, you have to have trust, 100% full trust, right? You do not want to let your other partner kind of push you into a decision. It definitely has to be constructive, and you definitely have to be open for constructive feedback. But our core fundamentals of trust and communication are definitely number one when it comes to anything like this. That goes with any kind of relationship.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I really hope that you definitely learned a little bit out of that. At least maybe it opened your mind a little bit if you're in kind of a situation that we just talked about. But now we're going to move on to the poll, okay? Reyna's going to take the reins on this one.
Yeah, so our last poll from our last episode, we discussed how Roland's schedule change has been impacting our relationship and, the issues that we were having and how we were attempting to overcome them. And so our poll was, have you ever had significant issues or had a relationship end due to mismatching schedules? And 100% of the votes were yes.
Wow.
So obviously, schedule changes are a huge issue for people, and trying to find ways to stay connected, I think, is definitely one of the hardest things. Because you start getting short with each other and you don't have enough time to kind of reconnect, and it wears on you. And especially if it's a long-term schedule change, it could be devastating to your relationship.
I can see the same thing.
Yeah. So thanks to everybody who voiced their opinion on the poll. We love hearing from you. We definitely love interacting with you. So the polls is one way that we get your feedback and are able to hear your voices. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so as always, you can visit us over at our website at rrwithrr.com. You'll see all of our social media buttons there. We also have a YouTube button there where you can see all of our videos. And that kind of leads me into the next discussion, is that we've, in the recent couple, last 2, 3, 4 weeks, we've had some issues with our computer. Okay, and actually rendering the files. It's become extremely difficult with all the updates to Adobe Premiere. So in the coming weeks, you should definitely see a larger output of videos, considering the fact that we have invested in a new computer. So be sure to keep an eye on all the videos that are going to be coming very, very soon. Okay?
So like Roland said, be sure to go to our website, rrwithrr.com. And we also have the other buttons besides our YouTube. We also have our Instagram, as well as our Twitter and our Facebook page. We are very active on all of our social media sites, so be sure to follow us on one or all of them. We would love it. You'll see different pictures, polls, videos. We post everything. So we would definitely love to interact with you and to hear from you. So be sure to subscribe, follow, like, all of those wonderful, wonderful things that gets you in contact with us.
Absolutely. So that's this week, babe.
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you all for all your support, as always.